What if I told you the path to real, lasting influence isn't about being better than your competition? What if it's about making them completely irrelevant? Well, today we're diving into a powerful, kind of counterintuitive strategy for leaders that does exactly that. So, as a leader, what's the fastest way to become truly world class? We're always told it's about getting a bigger team or capturing a larger market, but the real answer? It's something else entirely. The fastest way is to find a world of one. Pick a field so specific, so focused that you are the only one in it. See, the goal isn't to be the best in the world. It's to be the best in a world of your own making. Now I get it. This goes against all our training, right? We see a big, juicy market and our instinct is to run straight for it. But that exact instinct is what leads us right into the competitive trap. And this is what that trap looks like. You and your team are fighting tooth and nail against dozens, maybe hundreds of competitors on this incredibly crowded ladder. You're spending millions, you're working nights and weekends, all for these tiny, incremental gains that honestly nobody even notices a year later. It is the definition of a high-effort, low-leverage game. So this really lays out the choice every leader has to make. On the left, you've got the crowded field, a red ocean of brutal competition and painfully slow progress. But on the right, you have the overlooked niche, and that offers a totally different path. Basically no competition, the ability to achieve mastery fast, and something called asymmetric leverage. That's where a tiny bit of effort can create a massive, massive impact. So, the way out of that competitive trap is to deliberately, intentionally seek out these overlooked niches. This is the new playbook for influence. This whole idea is just perfectly captured by the brilliant neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran. He didn't chase the big, sexy problems like consciousness that everyone else was obsessed with. No, he actively looked for the weird little corners of his field that other people dismissed. And that's exactly where he found his incredible breakthroughs. And this says it all, doesn't it? Real, lasting success isn't about running faster in a pack of 1,000. It's about finding an open field, defining your own race, and then becoming the undisputed champion of it. You gotta find the smallest pond so you can become the biggest fish. So how do you actually do this? I mean, it's not just luck, right? Turns out there's a repeatable framework that the most effective innovators use time and time again. Let's call it the niche domination framework. It's a 4-step life cycle. It's super simple. First, you identify an anomaly, some weird, overlooked problem that makes people go, huh. Second, you dominate that tiny domain, becoming the absolute global expert on it. Third, you leverage the unique insight you've gained to go after a much bigger problem. And finally, you expand the field, often creating a whole new category in the process. Let's make this concrete and go back to our guy Ramachandran. He didn't start by trying to tackle the giant mystery of consciousness itself. No, he started with a super small, super strange anomaly that most other neurologists had just ignored for decades: phantom limbs. His journey just maps perfectly onto our life cycle. He identified the phantom limb anomaly. He dominated the subject with these really clever, simple experiments. Then, and this is key, he leveraged that insight to prove a much larger concept: brain plasticity. His niche work didn't just stay in a niche. It expanded to help create the entire field of cognitive neurology. I mean, think about that. From a weird little curiosity to a whole new science. Okay, so that's the theory and the story. But what does this actually mean for you as a leader when you walk into the office? How do we put this into practice? First thing, you got to change the culture. You need to encourage your teams to go deep, not wide. Actually celebrate the employee who knows more about some obscure, weird API than anyone else on the planet. And when you're looking at projects, stop asking only about market size. Start asking about leverage potential. And most important, reward those inch-wide, mile-deep experts. They are your secret weapon. And to justify all this, you're gonna need new metrics. Forget the old vanity metrics. Start tracking expert density. For any given problem, is your team one of 1,000 teams working on it, or one of maybe 3? You want to be one of 3. And track leverage potential. Ask this question: does solving this tiny little problem give us a unique key that unlocks a $10 billion door? That's the question you should be asking. All right, let's make this super practical. I want to give you one concrete action you can take with your team first thing on Monday morning. On Monday, I want you to conduct a niche audit. Get your team in a room and ask them, what's the most boring, unsexy, tedious problem in our industry that all our competitors are completely ignoring. Find it. Then, assign a small team a simple mission. Become the world's foremost experts on that one problem in the next 30 days. It's a super low-risk experiment with potentially massive, massive upside. So I'll just leave you with this question. Look at your market, look at your products, look at your team's unique skills, and stop asking how you can win the current game. Instead, start asking, what uncontested space will you find, own, and ultimately dominate?